Hey there, this is Joshua Jarvis, and today I want to talk to you guys about the power of no. Last week I talked about the superpower of consistency, and one of the things that if you want to be very consistent, it creates a sort of a clarity for yourself. And the power of no is one of those things that if you search for it, if people ask about it, it's really interesting to read what people have written about saying no to things. One of the more popular articles was from an author named John Acuff, and he was writing about how it made him feel bad if he said no to things, and he's like, I'm just going to start saying no, because saying no allows me to finish this book that I'm writing. And absolutely, that's true. In fact, when you say yes to things, you create confusion. And I remember reading this story about this lady who had been stabbed in New York, and how there was 38 eyewitnesses to this woman. So she had basically been going through, she was being attacked, and then as she's being attacked, all these eyewitnesses saw her being attacked and stabbed and died, and nobody did anything. And a lot of the news reports, a lot of the things, a lot of the stories that came out of that was talking about how our society is just it's too callous and too busy and all of those things. And one psychologist says, hey, maybe it wasn't that we're too callous. Maybe it wasn't that we're too busy. Maybe it was that we didn't know what to do, and that there was 39 people all looking at each other, expecting the other one to act, and no one actually took action because no one knew if the action was going to actually help this lady. Someone already had called for help. Maybe maybe it was a domestic dispute, and they didn't want to get involved in that. And so when they interviewed these people, and that's exactly what was said, was that they, in the absence of the information and absence of direction, they didn't know what to do, and so they just were sort of paralyzed as they watched in horror of a person being murdered. And it's kind of an extreme case, to be honest, to say that by saying yes, you're basically creating confusion and creating this opportunity for disaster in your business and in your life. But it really is. Every time you say no to something, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And what I've said is basically a new rule for me, and a new rule that I think a lot of people should look at, because I've seen this in the church, especially where someone is really excited about their faith in Jesus, and they decide to start volunteering at the church, and they sign up for every place to volunteer at all. So before they know it, they're actually serving every weekend, and they have a small group to go to, and multiple small groups, as well as other things that they're doing. And while all those things are really good, they are. The things that you have to remember, though, is that your time is finite, and your energy is finite, and so you're working, you got your family. So are those other priorities really priorities, or is your volunteering a priority? And so saying no actually helps you sort of clarify those priorities. But before I get ahead of myself, the rule that I was going to tell you about was basically when you say yes to something, that you need to say no to two other things. And so before you agree to do something new, go ahead and look at what you're saying yes to on your calendar, on your schedule, in your year, whatever it is, and say no to those two things. So right now I have a business opportunity that's come up, and if I say yes to this, it's going to take an amount of time for me to invest in this business and help it grow. And it probably means I'm saying no to something else. Now, whether I say it intentionally and I say, no, I'm not going to do this, or whether I say yes to this without saying no, like I am saying no to this whether I realize it or not. So instead of letting that happen by sort of default, I'm going to make it happen by being intentional and saying, look, if I'm going to go down this road, that means I'm putting this other project on hold. That means I'm putting this other thing on hold. And so that's why saying no is so powerful. As I was saying before, that no creates priority. And when you say no to something, you're basically saying yes to something else. So it's kind of the reverse of what we were talking about before, is that when you say yes, you're saying no. But when you say no, you're saying yes. I know it's really confusing, right? But the reality of it is that when you say no, let's say someone wants to, you say, hey, Josh, can you help me move? And I say no. What I'm saying yes to is whatever I've had plans for. And so saying no actually creates priorities, like it sort of values those priorities in your life. So and my priorities is God, family, and business. And so, or God, family, my wife, my children, then family or friends, and then business and church, and so those sort of things. And so, but my first one is God. So if someone was to ask me, Josh, can you help me on Sunday? The chances of me saying yes are pretty slim. I would probably say no, because I'm going to be spending that time at church and then with my family. And then likewise, if someone wanted me to take on a project that required me to work evenings and I was going to be away from my family, well, it doesn't interfere with my relationship with God. It doesn't interfere, but it does interfere with my relationship with my family. So I'm going to say no. And so by saying no, it sort of values those priorities. And so it helps you create priorities, helps you when you go through whether I'm learning how to say no, basically, you can go through your priorities and say, okay, can I say yes or can I say no to this? But then also, I guess it sort of values those things that you are wanting to value, the things that you want to have a priority in your life. And the other thing it does is it actually creates clarity around, basically what you want to do. There's so many options available, especially if you're entrepreneurial. There's so many opportunities to take advantage of. And if you're entrepreneurial like I am, then it's very hard to kind of figure out what you want to do. And it's very easy to say, okay, I don't want what's good. I don't want what's, sort of even really good. I want what's best. I want what's great. And if it's not, if they have no possibility of it being great or being the best, then I should say no to this so that I can wait for the next opportunity, because there's so many opportunities. I would rather wait a moment and continue doing what I'm doing and being excellent in that and wait for the next thing to be excellent in, instead of taking this opportunity to go after this other thing, and say yes to that. So another rule that I want you to think about. So when you say yes, you're saying no to something else. And the other thing I wrote down was, when I say no, I'm saying yes. And we already covered that, but basically I want you to remember that when you say no, you're basically saying yes to someone else. And so if you said, let's say you had plans this Saturday to go with family to the park, and someone else has maybe tickets to the game, or invites you to something that maybe you really, really want to do, like a round of golf. But when you say no to golf, you're saying yes to your family, right? And so I'm not saying that playing golf is bad. I'm not saying that working evenings is bad. None of that is bad. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that when you make a yes and a no decision, that it has repercussions, and that the power of saying no means that you're actually saying yes to a bunch of things. So this opportunity that I really, really, really want to take advantage of that I was talking about, I am leaning towards saying no to pursuing it, not because it's not amazing, not because it wouldn't maybe change my entire world, but because it would keep me from doing these videos, or probably keep me from writing, which is the thing that brings me the most life. Now, what does it bring me the most money? No. Does it bring me anything other than the enjoyment of doing it? No. But if I was to take this opportunity, which would bring me income, it probably would set me back quite a bit on the progress that I've made thus far. And so that's why I'm probably going to say no to doing that, unless by the grace of God something comes through, right? So in any case, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like these videos, please subscribe, comment anywhere where you see them. The thing that I would love is, do you like me being a little bit more candid? Do you want me to stick to the content? Do you want me to do videos on other subjects other than what I'm actually writing about? So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and make it a great day.